Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I apologize for this long delay. I meant to get this out to you a few days ago, honestly, but yeah. Today I'm doing a update deck profile on my Cyber Dragon deck. So yeah, I haven't been too active this month, as I explained it once before, simply because we are kind of in banlist season. And right now I don't want to do any deck profiles until the ban list finally comes out. So right now I'm only presenting to you guys decks that I feel like are going to get the least amount of hits to no hits at all. So I figured, you know what, for today I'll bring you guys Cyber Dragon simply because as far as the main deck goes, I really don't see anything getting hit in this deck. The same thing can be said about the side deck and even the extra deck. Yeah, Verte Anaconda is going to be banned. And believe it or not, I'm not running Verte Anaconda at all this deck. However, I am experimenting with one new tech card, which I think you guys might find interesting as I get to it. So anyway, let's go and get started. So main deck's still 40 cards, starting off with 3 copies of Cyber Dragon. So naturally, it's a free special summon because this is a going second deck, and you definitely want to wait till your opponent sets up a board and then special summon this card literally for free. Next, 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core. Now, one thing I do like about this card is that it also helps you enables you going first too. So like, if you feel like you need to go first and you kind of have an idea of what your opponent's playing, then this card basically helps you enable that strategy. So when this card is normal summon, you get to add a Cyber Dragon or Cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Keep in mind, this is a mandatory effect, so you can't just like choose whether you want to activate it or not. So you have to activate it on the summon. And also has a bonus effect where if your opponent controls more monsters than you do while this card is in your graveyard and you have no monsters at all, you can banish this card to summon a Cyber Dragon directly from your deck. Keep in mind, you can only use one effective Cyber Dragon Core once per turn and only once that turn. But one thing I do like is that it does count as Cyber Dragon while on the field and in the grave. So definitely a good way just to, you know, get additional fusion materials, you know. Next, 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Hearse. So I've mentioned what this card does. If this card is special summoned, you can make this card's level become level 5 until the end of the turn. Of course, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except machine monsters, but honestly, that's hardly an issue considering your deck is primarily machine. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Core also has a restriction effect where it basically locks you into machine monsters, which again, not a problem considering you are mainly playing machines anyway. But anyway, I digress. And also, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 other Cyber Dragon from your deck to your grave. So this searches out anything that has Cyber Dragon in its name. So yeah, Cyber Dragon Hearse, definitely a great 3 of. I would definitely recommend it. Next up, 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Master. So this card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field like all the other ones do, or in the grave too, so I forgot about that. You can discard 1 other monster, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 machine monster with 2100 or 2100 attack or defense points in your graveyard and special summon it. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of your turn except machine monsters. So again, we already know that does because we are playing machines anyway, so yeah. Next, 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. It's a great card, but it's only great if you have another machine monster, or rather another light monster to discard. But overall, you definitely only want to play just 2 because if you play this at 3, it could be a major brick. So 2 should be more than enough. Do not attempt to play this at 3 because trust me, I tried it. Did not work too well, and yeah. But Galaxy Soldier is just great because A, it's a level 5 monster, B, it's a machine monster, so you can easily go into cards like Cyber Dragon Nova with this card. And it searches itself out, which is amazing. So the only part that's a hard once per turn is the search effect, but you can actually special summon the second copy in the same turn. So yeah, Galaxy Soldier is really good, so just bear that in mind. Plus this with Cyber Dragon Hearse is so broken, so that's what I like about it. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things you can do with Galaxy Soldier. All right, so this time I cut Cyber Tannin, and this time bringing in Chimera, or Cyber Dark Chimera, sorry. I was about to say Chimera Tech Chimera, but no. Cyber Dark Chimera. You can discard 1 spell or trap, add 1 power bond from your deck to your hand, and you can only use dragon or machine cyber monsters as fusion materials this turn, which is actually okay because again, we kind of have we pretty much have everything that says cyber. So yeah, but anyway, while this card is on the field, you can, whenever you attempt to do a fusion summon, you can banish materials from your graveyard. So this is really great because you can just simply banish 3 Cyber Dragons from your deck, bring out Cyber End Dragon, and make it an AK beats deck. So if your opponent is wide open, you could just simply one-shot them. So yeah, this card is just really good for enabling the OTK because again, that's kind of like my goal for this deck. I want to go second, I want to OTK my opponent, that's it. But keep in mind, you know, I am prepared to go first, you know, depending on if my opponent catches on of what I'm playing. So yeah. And then of course, to round up our machines, 1 Jisakiryu, since, you know, it's a kaiju that's searchable, so why not? Oh, excuse me. All right. Now moving on to hand traps. For my hand traps, I'm actually running 3 copies of Ash. I mean, it's still generically good. Yeah, some people say that hand traps aren't as good this format. I mean, honestly, depending on the deck, that's true. But if you're playing a deck like this and, you already know what the meta is, it's good to, have a good hand trap lineup, just so that way you can deal with the top meta contenders. So that's all I can really say about that. But anyway, moving on, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre. I've already mentioned how good this actually is, this format, especially against the Sword Soul and Floowandereeze matchups. So like with Sword Soul, as soon as they activate their first effect to, summon a token, you can just pop that monster with the Ghost Ogre. They'll still get the token, but they can't really do much with it. And against the Floowandereeze matchup, you just simply pop their field spell as soon as they attempt to use the effect. So yeah, Ghost Ogre is definitely a highly underrated hand trap. I definitely would give it a try when you can. Next, 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. It's just a better version of Effect Veiler, and the fact that you can also activate it during either player's turn directly from the hand, so long as you have no cards on the field, is pretty nuts. And it can also negate spells and traps that if this card was set and the card that they attempt to activate was in the same column, yeah, it's pretty nuts. Alright, so that's it for that. Now we're moving on to spells. For spells, 3 copies of Cyber Emergency. Searches out any Light Machine monster or Cyber Dragon monster, and basically just add it from your deck to your hand. And if your opponent negates this effect, or negates the activation of this card, you can discard 1 card, add this card right back to your hand, which rarely comes up, but, it's there if you really need it. Next, 3 Machine Duplication. This card is really broken. I mean, yeah, some people might say it's a brick, but honestly, with Cyber Dragon Core in tandem with this card, yeah, it's pretty nice, because you get 2 free Cyber Dragons, and yeah, you basically get to enable yourself a free negate with Cyber Dragon Infinity. So yeah, honestly, I don't see why some people have decided to cut this. I mean, most other people I've seen still play this, so yeah, this is still a great card. Next, I'm only playing 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity this time. I was playing it at 3, but I cut it down to 2 simply because my extra deck is a little bit more specific this time around. And plus, usually you only need to resolve the 1, so once you resolve the other 1, the other 2 kind of became dead. So at that point, I was like, you know what, I'll just cut it down to 2. As long as I resolve 1 and the other one could easily be discard fodder for something else. So yeah, 2 Prosperity should be enough. For my one-ofs, since I am running the Cyberdark Chimera, I am running 1 copy of Cyberdark Realm. It is searchable through Cyber Dragon Core because it has Cyber in the name. But basically, this gives you an additional normal summon for a Cyberdark monster, and not to mention, it's a Rota for Cyberdarks. So you search this off of Core, activate this, add Cyberdark Chimera, get the additional normal summon, and then get your Power Bond, and then you can just go full combo that way too. So yeah, Cyberdark Realm's not too bad. For the other one-ups, 1 copy of Overload Fusion, not Cyberload Fusion, is the other card. Overload Fusion, basically you get to fusion summon 1 Dark Machine Fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing the materials from your field or graveyard. So it's basically Miracle Fusion for machines. This is Cyberload Fusion. This basically recycles your fusion materials, and you get to special summon a monster directly from your extra deck. And keep in mind, this is a quick play card, so you can activate this during your opponent's turn. So definitely a good way to help you recover. So yeah. Next, 1 Power Bond, which let's be honest, we all know what this does. Now it does have a nasty effect where you get burnt for damage, but again, if you have a way to basically OTK your opponent, it really shouldn't affect you too much. 1 Cyber Repair Plan, as long as you have a Cyber Dragon on field or in your graveyard, you can activate 1 of these effects simultaneously. So basically, you can add 1 Light Machine monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can target 1 Light Machine monster in your graveyard, shuffle that target back into your deck. So you can activate both effects. So yeah, it's pretty good. Now keep in mind, this only works if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in your grave, so if you wanted to use both effects. But if you only have the 1, then you can only activate 1 effect. But anyway, moving on. 1 Cyber Rev System. It's just basically an extender card or Monster Reborn for your Cyber Dragons. And the cool thing about it is that it can't be destroyed by card effects once it resolves. 1 Called by the Grave, just to kind of protect myself. 1 Monster Reborn. And the only other trap I'm playing is Cybernetic Overflow. No, it pops cards, so why not? And keep in mind, that does not target. Alright, so now we're moving on to the extra deck. For the extra deck, running 2 copies of Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. I could have sworn I had another holo of this, but I'll have to look for it later. But anyway, it's one of the best OTK enablers of this deck, and it also pops spells and traps too, so that's pretty nice. Next, 1 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. So if you happen to come across a mirror match, this basically just clears the entire board, or just any other machine deck in general. So yeah, Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon's not too bad. I'm running the 1 Mega Fleet simply because, if my opponent happens to have like an Appaloosa or something, and I just special summon a Cyber Dragon, I can just simply contact Fusion away that Appaloosa. They can't negate anything I do, and yeah, it gets pretty big. Now, between Cyber Eternity Dragon and Cyber Twin Dragon, I actually had a hard time picking between the two. So I decided to go with Cyber Twin Dragon. It's just like another OTK piece. Because the fact is like, if you summon this off of Power Bond, it already can attack twice. And plus, it becomes double its attack strength. So, yeah, that could also like help you OTK your opponent. Or if you could just simply clear your opponent's board if, because again, it can beat over 2 monsters easily. So Cyber Twin Dragon's not too bad, but at the same time, I do like Cyber Eternity Dragon because it also gives you follow-up, but again, it's really up to you on which one you prefer. However, I am running one Cyber End Dragon just because, it's makeable, especially the fact that Power Bond is searchable in this deck, and that's what I love about it. So yeah, bringing in Cyber End Dragon just for the fun of it. Alright, so for my Xyz monsters, running 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nova and two copies of Cyber Dragon Infinity, so definitely want to run 2 of each. Cyber Dragon Infinities and Omni Negates, so yeah. And not to mention, it can steal monsters that are in attack mode and add it to its material, so it's pretty nice. 1 Constellar Pallades, a free level 5, or I'm sorry, not level 5, rank 5 that you can make, and it can bounce back cards to your opponent control, so yeah, it does target, but not too bad, so why not? And I am running 1 Zeus, since cool thing is that it's a light machine monster, so even with the restrictions, this guy is easy to bring out, so yeah, if you decide to, attack with one of your Xyz monsters, you can just make a Zeus and you're good to go. Now for the Link monsters, I am running 1 copy of Almirage still. And again, I purposely took off Verte Anaconda simply because I think it's going to get banned. And this gave me the opportunity to test out a new card. I want to try Lina the Light Charmer Illustrious. Just requires 2 monsters, including a light monster. So as long as you haven't done anything to restrict yourself out of machines, this card can actually be made pretty early on your turn. And not to mention, you can steal a light monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your side of the field. And if you wanted to, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effects, you can add 1 light monster with 1,500 or less defense points, which obviously you have a lot of targets for this, and add it from your deck to your hand. So this is just a good way just to, again, you definitely want good follow-up play, and that's what I like about Lina. So I definitely think this card might replace Verte Anaconda if the time comes for this deck, but again, I'm just experimenting with it for right now. So, but who knows, if Verte Anaconda somehow dodges the ban list, I'll definitely add it back in. But anyway, moving on, the only other Link monster I'm playing is 1 copy of Cyber Dragon Seeger, which everyone already knows what this does. It can beef up itself or any other of your Cyber Dragon monsters. So yeah, definitely a good way just to kind of like protect yourself, All right. For the side deck, I'm not going to go into too much detail. These should be pretty self-explanatory. 3 Token Collector for the Sword Soul matchup. 3 Spiritualism because, can't be negated whatsoever, and I think it's definitely going to be one of the better spell and trap card removal moving on to the next format. So, yeah. I also got some blowout cards because I also think that Impure Order is going to get hit. I am running 1 Lightning Storm because I only own the 1 Regeki, and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. Another good tool to go second, 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Last time I played this, and it's actually been putting in a lot of work. I am running 2 copies of Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Honestly, a lot of people don't completely forgot this card exists, and it's pretty funny if you can nail it. So I gotta give shout outs to someone who gave me this idea. I forgot his name, but once I do, I'll definitely give him a shout out next time around. But yeah, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, it actually does put in a lot of work if you do it correctly. So yeah. And of course, last but not least, 1 Red Reboot just to deal with trap decks. So yeah, why not? Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.